Okay, so now the next thing that we'll be talking about is the post-fertilization events, right? In the previous lecture, what we had understood the entire mechanism of fertilization, right? And at the end of the process of fertilization, we had a diploid structure, which is called as zygote. Right now in this zygote, what is going to happen? See, zygote, it is a diploid structure, right? A single-celled diploid structure. Now, in this zygote, special type of mitotic divisions are going to begin. And what is the term that we use for that? We use the term cleavage. Okay? So, what is this cleavage? It is a special mitotic division. Okay? Here, this is a special mitotic division. And here what is happening? Here the number of the cells is going to increase. The number of the cells increases. Alright, this is the zygote. It had undergone the first cleavage division. We are going to get a two-cell stage, right? The number of the cells has increased here, but the size of the cell is not going to increase. Okay, the size of the zygote is not going to increase. That's why it is a special mitotic division. It is what kind of mitotic division? It is a special kind of mitotic division. Then again, further division is going to happen and we are going to find a 4-celled stage like this. And then again the division is going to happen and then we are going to find a 8-celled stage. Okay. So this is how the process is going to happen. So let's talk about cleavage here. See, cleavage is the series of rapid mitotic division of the zygote which convert the single cellular zygote into multicellular structure which is called as blastula. See, we had our zygote here, then there is 2-cell stage, there is 4-cell stage, and then further the cleavage process is happening and we are going to reach to a 8 to 16-cell stage. Okay, 8 to 16 cell stage. And what do we call it as? We call it as morula. Okay, we call it as morula. Alright, so suppose this is the morula and these are the various cells which are formed as a result of the cleavage division. What are we going to call these cells as? We are going to call them as blastomeres. What are we going to call them as? We are going to call them as blastomeres. Okay, so see here, on day 1 there is zygote, then the 2-cell stage, 4-cell stage, 8-cell stage, then I told you 8 to 16-cell stage. What do we call it? We call it morula. And then this morula, it transforms. The cells here, they get rearranged and they form a structure which is called as blastocyst. What is the name of this stage? Blastocyst. And at this stage, what is going to happen? The process of implantation is going to happen. It is the blastocyst stage which is going to embed itself in the endometrium of the uterus. Alright, so please remember this name, the blastocyst stage. Now in the structure of the blastocyst stage, see how the cells have arranged. There is a fluid-filled cavity, right? Okay, and then there is inner cell mass and there is trophoblast. The outer ones are the trophoblast, and here this is what? This is the inner cell mass. So very important point about them is that this inner cell mass, this inner cell mass is going to give rise to embryo. Okay, and this trophoblast, the trophoblast is going to give rise to the extra embryonic membranes. ठीक है, क्या बनाएगा? एक्स्ट्रा एम्ब्रियोनिक मेम्ब्रेन्स बनाएगा. इस पे क्वेश्चन आता है. इनर सेल मास पे बहुत बार क्वेश्चन आ चुका है, तो वो क्या बनाएगा? वो एम्ब्रियो बनाएगा. ऑल राइट. Next, significance of cleavage. What is the significance of cleavage? See, the distribution of the cytoplasm of the zygote amongst the blastomeres, right? हम लोग पहले ही देख चुके हैं blastomeres क्या होते हैं. Increased mobility of the protoplasm, the restoration of cell size and the nucleocytoplasmic ratio, characteristic of that particular species, and then the unicellular zygote is converted into multicellular zygote. All right, so this is all about the significance of the cleavage. Now let's take one question. What is cleavage? Dissolution of zona pellucida, a specialized mitotic division in late fetus, a specialized meiotic division in late fetus, a specialized mitotic division in zygote and early embryo. So देखो, dissolution of zona pellucida तो बिल्कुल नहीं होता है. A specialized mitotic division in late fetus नहीं होता है, right? Zygote या early embryo होता है. A specialized meiotic बोल दिया है, नहीं होगा. What is going to be our answer? Our answer is going to be D, that it is a specialized mitotic division in zygote and early embryo. Okay, so D is going to be the answer. All right, now next let's talk about the role of the HCG. Where is this HCG secreted from? It is coming from the placenta. So this HCG, it maintains the corpus luteum and stimulates it to secrete progesterone, right? We've already seen how important progesterone is. Progesterone is important for maintenance of pregnancy, right? It is important for maintenance of pregnancy. तो HCG क्या कर रहा है? HCG is maintaining the corpus luteum, right? हम लोगों ने जब oogenesis पढ़ा था वहाँ पे हम लोगों ने term पढ़ा था. So it is maintaining the corpus luteum, and we know that the major function of corpus luteum is to secrete progesterone. Progesterone is pregnancy maintaining hormone, which is very important at this stage, right? So this is the role of HCG. It maintains the endometrium. It prevents menstruation, right? Pregnancy में menstruation नहीं होता है. And increased secretion of mucus, which is also very important. Forms a protective plug during pregnancy. All right. Next is role of zona pellucida. देखो हम लोगों ने देखा था that as a result of the cortical reaction, what happened to zona pellucida, वो बहुत hard हो जाता है. And zona pellucida, it remains intact जब तक implantation नहीं होता है. So what is the most important thing about zona pellucida? Zona pellucida जो है वो ectopic pregnancy को prevent करता है. Ectopic pregnancy मतलब see, ideally where the implantation happens, implantation is happening in the uterus. अगर zona pellucida नहीं होगा ना, then what happens? The cells of the zygote, you can say, or the cells of the early embryo, they are very sticky. तो वो fallopian tube में stick हो जाएंगे, which is not correct, right? In the fallopian tube, the development of the baby is not going to happen. So ये zona pellucida क्या करता है? ये ectopic pregnancy को prevent करता है. This is one of the major functions of zona pellucida, and it has been asked as a question. Okay, so zona pellucida is to prevent implantation of the blastocyst at abnormal site. And implantation at abnormal site is what? Ectopic pregnancy. इसको prevent करेगा ये. All right. Blastocyst formation. So see, the inner cell mass, it gives rise to the embryo. The cells of the trophoblast, they are going to help to provide nutrition to the embryo. The cells of the trophoblast, later they form the extra embryonic membranes, namely the chorion and the amnion and the part of the placenta. तो ये वाली चीज़ जो है वो बहुत important है. हम लोगों ने blastocyst का structure देखा था, उसमें हमने दो चीज़ें देखी थी. One was trophoblast and another one was inner cell mass. Right, another one was inner cell mass. तो inner cell mass जो है वो किसको rise देगा? It is going to give rise to the embryo, right? It is going to give rise to the embryo. And trophoblast, it is going to help in the formation of the extra embryonic membranes. क्या बना रहा है? Extra embryonic membrane के formation में help करेगा. All right. ठीक है, ये बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट पॉइंट है, इन सब पे क्वेश्चन आ चुका है. दिस इज अ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट पॉइंट. नेक्स्ट, द सेल्स ऑफ द ट्रोफोब्लास्ट विच आर इन कॉन्टैक्ट विद द इनर सेल मास, दे आर कॉल्ड एज द सेल्स ऑफ राउबर. ठीक है, ये भी बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट पॉइंट है. क्या बोल देते हैं इनको? सेल्स ऑफ राउबर बोलते हैं. एंड सेल्स ऑफ राउबर यू नो क्या करते हैं? ये एमनियोटिक फ्लूइड सिक्रीट करते हैं, राइट. आई एम प्रिटी श्योर सबने एमनियोटिक फ्लूइड के बारे में सुना है. तो सेल्स ऑफ राउबर क्या सिक्रीट करेंगे? एमनियोटिक फ्लूइड सिक्रीट करेंगे. ओके, सो वी हैव द ब्लास्टोसिस्ट, राइट. क्लीवेज डिवीजन हो गया है, ब्लास्टोसिस्ट हमारे पास बन गया है. नाउ द नेक्स्ट स्टेप इज इम्प्लांटेशन. सो व्हाट इज इम्प्लांटेशन? इट इज द अटैचमेंट of the blastocyst to the uterine wall. Okay, it is the attachment of the blastocyst to the uterine wall. The blastocyst is going to embed itself in the uterine wall. That is what implantation is. Stage का नाम बहुत important है, इस पे भी question आ सकता है. कौन सा stage का attachment होता है? Blastocyst stage का attachment होता है. This is the stage at which the implantation process is happening. It occurs after 7 days of fertilization. So हम लोग assume करते हैं that fertilization हो चुका है, उसके almost 7th to 8th day पे क्या होगा? The process of implantation is going to occur. Alright, now let's have a look at the question. Implantation is the process of egg movement, fertilization, gestation. बहुत ही sorted सा, बहुत ही simple सा, sweet सा question है. आंसर बहुत simple है. Implantation is the attachment of blastocyst to the uterine wall. Right? The next thing that we are going to talk about is placenta, right? What is placenta? Placenta is the intimate connection between the fetus and the uterine wall of the mother to exchange the substances. Okay, so fetus of course is not capable of deriving its own nourishment or excretion of substances. तो ये सारी चीज़ें कैसे होती है? ये सारी चीज़ें मदर के थ्रू होती है, right? It derives its nutrition from the mother's blood, and whatever the waste substances are there, they are again passed on into the mother's blood. So how is this all happening? This is all happening through this intimate connection which is the placenta. तो यहाँ पे ये जो disc shaped structure दिख रहा है, this is what? This is the placenta. Okay, and one of the very important point is that of course in placenta what we are going to see is that the maternal and fetal blood, they are coming very close to one another, लेकिन कभी भी mixing of the maternal and the fetal blood नहीं होता है. Okay, by the process of simple diffusion the exchange of these substances happen. Alright, so this is a very important point. Next, let's talk about the structure of the placenta. Alright, so placenta, it is not a simple membrane, alright, it is not a simple membrane, and it is made up of the tissues from two different sources. It is made up of tissues from two different sources. Which sources? Of course, one is the maternal tissue and second is the embryonic tissues. Again, the tissues are going to come close to one another. Again, हम लोगों ने एक जो term use किया था, intimate contact. Alright, so they are coming very close to one another. Blood of the mother and the fetus is not mixing. So maternal tissues, these include the uterine epithelium, connective tissue and the blood capillaries. Alright, these include talking about the embryonic tissues, these are going to include the extra embryonic membranes, mainly the chorion. Yolk sac and allantois also take part in placenta formation. Embryonic connective tissue and blood capillaries are also constituents of it. तो दो चीज़ें हैं, बहुत सिंपल सी याद रखना है. प्लेसेंटा किससे बना हुआ है? It is made up of maternal tissue also. And it is also made up of embryonic टिश्यू. तो दोनों में ही हम लोग देख चुके हैं कि मेटर्नल टिश्यू में क्या बना रहा है और एम्ब्रियोनिक टिश्यू में क्या पार्टिसिपेट कर रहा है. राइट, नाउ chorioallantoic placenta. Now see, this type of placenta is formed by embryonic chorion and allantoic membranes. It is also referred to as true placenta. और कहाँ पे मिलेगा? Mammals में मिलेगा. ठीक है, तो ये टर्म याद रखना है, कोरियो एलेंटोइक प्लेसेंटा. क्वेश्चन आया ह्यूमंस में कौन सा प्लेसेंटा मिलेगा? कोरियो एलेंटोइक प्लेसेंटा मिलेगा. नेक्स्ट इज द हॉर्मोन्स ऑफ ह्यूमन प्लेसेंटा, विच इज अ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट पॉइंट. ठीक है, द प्लेसेंटा ऑफ ह्यूमंस मेनली secrete two steroid hormones like estradiol and progesterone and two protein hormones like HCG, human chorionic gonadotropin, जिसके बारे में हम लोग ऑलरेडी देख चुके हैं, and human placental somatomamotropin. Alright, so these are the important hormones of human placenta. Large amounts of HCG hormone is secreted during early pregnancy from the placenta, and it forms the basis of the detection of pregnancy at earlier stages also. एक टेस्ट होता है Gravidex test. Okay, this Gravidex test बेसिकली क्या डिटेक्ट करता है? HCG का कॉन्सेंट्रेशन डिटेक्ट करता है. ऑलराइट, सो लार्ज अमाउंट ऑफ HCG हार्मोन इज सिक्रीटेड ड्यूरिंग अर्ली प्रेगनेंसी फ्रॉम द प्लेसेंटा, एंड बिकॉज ऑफ दिस रीजन इट्स क्वांटिटी इंक्रीजेज इन द यूरिन ऑफ द प्रेग्नेंट लेडी. ऑन द बेसिस ऑफ दिस फैक्ट pregnancy test is performed. Alright, I've already given you the name of the test. The Gravidex test is performed. Okay. Now, these hormones, they are also held responsible for keeping the corpus luteum, protection of the embryo, prevention of abortion, and growth of mammary glands, right? All these things are very important for the maintenance of pregnancy. In addition, during pregnancy, the levels of other hormones like estrogen, progesterone, cortisol, prolactin, thyroxine, etc., they are also increased several folds in the maternal blood. Now, the next is the formation of the extra-embryonic membrane. So, we'll be talking about chorion, allantois, yolk sac, amnion. Alright, so first we'll be talking about the amnion. It is formed by the layer of angiogenic cells present around the amniotic cavity and the extra-embryonic mesoderm. Extra-embryonic mesoderm layer surrounds the amnion. Now, with a gradual increase in the size, the amnion covers the embryo from all the sides, right? Mainly क्या चीज़ याद रखनी है? Mainly you have to remember the names of the extra embryonic membranes. After about 8 weeks of fertilization, amnion is completely incorporated into the connecting stalk, which finally forms the umbilical cord. All right, so see here in this particular diagram, this is the fetus. This connecting stalk that we see here, what is this connecting stalk? This connecting stalk is the umbilical cord. ठीक है, क्या है ये? umbilical cord है. और फिर यहाँ पे ये क्या है? Here, this is your placenta. Okay. Now, embryo in this stage is called as the fetus, remains hanging in the amniotic fluid, right? Amnion जो है वो amniotic sac है और उसके अंदर क्या present है? उसके अंदर amniotic fluid present है. The next extra embryonic membrane is chorion. It is formed by the extra embryonic parietal layer of mesoderm and the cells of the trophoblast. After implantation of blastocyst, the trophoblast gives out several finger-like processes which is called as the chorionic villi, which gets embedded in the uterine endometrium. Mesoderm also contributes in the formation of these villi. ठीक है, अब इस diagram में देखो यहाँ पे very clearly we can see these finger-like projections. Okay, we can clearly see these finger-like projections. And what are these finger-like projections? This is the chorionic villi. Alright, this is the chorionic villi, and again see कहाँ पे है ये? Spaces में present है जहाँ पे maternal blood है. So there is no contact of the fetal and the maternal blood happening. They are just located very close to one another, and the exchange of various substances is happening via the process of simple diffusion. Okay, after a period of 4 months, these villi, they disappear from all the parts except the connecting stalk, where they grow rapidly and participate in the formation of the placenta. Next extra embryonic membrane is the allantois. It is a solid and cylindrical mass formed by embryonic mesoderm. A small cavity lined by endodermal cells develops in it. The mesoderm of allantois forms many small blood vessels in this region. These vessels, they connect the embryo with the placenta and ensure nutritional and respiratory supply to the embryo. All right. Next. In humans, the allantois does not function to store the excretory waste as it does in the reptiles, birds and प्रोटोथीरियन. सो यहाँ पे एलेंटॉइस जो है वो कोई भी एक्सक्रीटरी वेस्ट सब्सटेंसेस स्टोर नहीं करती है. ओके, नेक्स्ट इज योक सैक. Yolk sac is formed by the cells of extra embryonic visceral mesoderm and endoderm. तो देखो यहाँ पे हमने देखा है कि कोरियन भी था, वो किसका बना हुआ था, मेसोडर्म का था या एंडोडर्म का था. सो these are the things जहाँ पे क्वेश्चन आता है. Alright, so yolk sac, it is formed by the cells of extra embryonic visceral mesoderm and endoderm. Next, initially the size of the yolk sac is larger as compared to that of the embryo. About 8 weeks after fertilization, the yolk is reduced in the size and changes into a tubular structure. All right. Okay, so we have seen the formation of the extra embryonic membranes as well. Now the fetus is going to develop, and once the development of the fetus is done, the next step is going to come, that is parturition. So what is parturition? It is nothing but delivery of the baby. Okay, so duration of the pregnancy in human beings, it is about 9 months. Parturition, it is a hormonal process, right? There are lots of hormones which are participating in this process. The signals for parturition, the signals of delivery, where do they originate from? They are originating from a fully developed fetus and the placenta. ये बहुत important point है, इस पे question आता है, that signals of parturition, where do they develop from? तो याद रखना है, it is the placenta and the fully developed fetus, which include mild uterine contractions called the fetal ejection reflex. Okay, so once the fetus is fully developed, what is going to happen? The fully developed fetus and the placenta, they will start sending signals that the fetus is ready to come out. It is going to start fetal ejection reflex. Oxytocin is the main parturition hormone, and after parturition, the oxytocin stimulates milk let down by milk ejection reflex. Now, relaxin hormone is secreted by the placenta and the ovae, and this hormone, it relaxes the pubic symphysis, that is the joint between the pelvic girdle, so more space is available for the fetus to move out. Alright, so see, all in all, this process of parturition, it is mainly, driven by this oxytocin hormone. Oxytocin is responsible for, creating these uterine contractions, or creating that strong wave of uterine contractions, you can say, which is going to push the fetus out. तो कैसा होता है? The fully developed fetus and the placenta is going to send a signal. Because of this, the oxytocin will be secreted from the pituitary gland. Oxytocin क्या करेगा? वो uterine muscles में contraction initiate करवाएगा. As the contraction starts in the uterine muscles, it is going to send a positive signal to the pituitary gland that you release more oxytocin. More oxytocin means stronger uterine contractions. Okay, then those strong uterine contractions, they will again send a positive feedback to the pituitary gland that secrete more oxytocin, and as a result of this process, what is going to happen? These muscular contraction, they will keep on becoming stronger and stronger. बहुत strong होते जाएंगे, and ultimately the delivery of the baby is going to happen. Alright, now let's take a question on this. To induce uterine contractions for parturition, which of the following hormones can be injected to the female? देखो parturition की बात हो रही है, एक ही hormone का नाम याद आना चाहिए, oxytocin. Okay, so our answer is going to be oxytocin. Next, the signals of fetal ejection reflex originate from maternal pituitary, maternal hypothalamus, fully developed fetus and placenta, fetal pituitary. Abhi we had seen that the signals of the parturition, the fetal ejection reflex kahan se originate hota hai? From the fully developed fetus and the placenta. So our answer is going to be C.